This is the Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll with headlines and punchlines for January 7th, 2026, the 352nd day of the Sex Offender Administration. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told lawmakers that recent administration threats against Greenland didn't signal an imminent invasion and that the goal is to buy the island from Denmark. That's Rubio speak for, "We'll make them an offer they can't refuse." U.S. District Judge David Novak of Richmond on Tuesday ordered Trump ally Lindsay Halligan to explain why she continues to call herself the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, even though another judge determined in November that she had been unlawfully appointed to the position. Halligan didn't know what her job was, so she had no idea that she still wasn't doing it. U.S. Representative Jim Baird, a Republican who represents Indiana's 4th Congressional District, has been hospitalized along with his wife Maureen after a car accident. So now Baird's wife knows how the country feels having the Republicans behind the wheel. NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps on Tuesday announced his resignation after more than 20 years following a nasty federal trial in which inflammatory texts he sent during contentious revenue-sharing negotiations were revealed. Phelps called the team owner, Richard Childress, quote, "a stupid redneck," close quote, who, quote, "needs to be taken out back and flogged," close quote. That led Bass Pro Shops founder Johnny Morris to write a letter demanding Phelps' removal as commissioner. The same Johnny Morris, who gave the Trump campaign $200,000, demanded Phelps' resignation. Obviously, the line is flogging rednecks. This has been the Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll with headlines and punchlines for January 7th, 2026, the 352nd day of the Sex Offender Administration. Join me live at the Church of Last Resort Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on MindDog TV.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact.
I don't know what my job is.
Checking
So
and corrections
I had no idea what
encouraged.
I'm doing it too.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
What's going on? Weird. We live in a weird world, man. It's weird. The whole world is weird. I'm not digging these headphones. I'm cool headphones. How much
Damn good coffee and hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Oh, now,
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Everything is all stiffly, you know. We're running everywhere. We're on the radio. We're on Instagram. We're on Amazon. How about that? Weird. We're just weird. We're all weird. We're on Governors. We're on YouTube. MindDog. We're there. Good morning. It is Hump Day, the first hump of the new year. And I hope you like it. It is Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, which doesn't kind of roll off your clavicle. I don't know what to call it. Hi. I'm your dopey dog who sleeps too late. It stays up too late and then sleeps too late. And but it's warm out. How about that? And another thing that is interesting is this. Another thing that is interesting. Good Pods, I get these emails periodically from Good Pods. According to this, we're a top 100 podcast, But the badge they gave me says we're a top 50 podcast, top 100 overall. But if you see the bottom there, we're number 12 in top 100 indie comedy podcast of all time chart. That's one more time because it's a little difficult to understand. Number 12 in the top 100 indie comedy podcasts of all time chart. It's hard to believe. I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. Also, number 17 in the top 100 comedy podcasts of all time chart. So the indie comedy podcast of all time chart is different than the comedy podcast of all time chart. So we're 12 in indie, 17 in the other one. That puts us in the top 50, top 100 overall podcast, according to Good Pod. And I just think they're fucking high. High as a fucking kite. There's no chance in hell that those numbers are accurate. No chance in hell. I appreciate it, though, and I don't think I didn't put the badge, the top 50 podcasts on the website. It looks good. It's impressive, right? Oh, top 50. You know how many fucking podcasts there are? Do you know how many? You can't handle the podcasts, the truth. Anyway, we got an author today, 10:15, John David, who was a PR guy, crisis communications guy, nonfiction guy who has written his first novel, The Bystander, which we'll talk about at some point. You know what? You want to start your own business, don't you? You look like you want to start your own business. What kind of you don't even know. You don't even know. You know what you should do? You should start a merch business. And if you want to start a merch business, you could go to Paintify and use the link that's in the description. You start with $0 investment, not a penny. You don't need a penny to kind of get started here. You select from over 1,000 products, 1,000 top quality products. You know what? I got to start adding some of these to our merch store because we don't have all this stuff, this good stuff. I'm going to get right on it today, though. Look, you could whatever you got there, and you can print your logo on it. You got t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, hoodies, kids clothing, stickers, 1,000 great products there, and you could be like, and you get rich. Look, you're gonna get rich. Your monthly earnings are gonna be $321.16 for what? I don't know what this is. They do all the fulfillment for you, whatever. You know what? Go start a store, damn it. This girl here who looks like she is an AI person. She's been using Printify for about 2 years, and it allowed her to quit her job within 9 months. Now she's in Bali, being a digital nomad and working on a store. How about that? You want to go to Bali? You'd be like this chick here. Go meet her there.
My name is Christina, and I am a full-time print-on-demand seller who solely uses Printify as my supplier.
I don't know.
I've been using Printify for about 2 years now, and it allowed me to quit my job within 9 months of starting my print-on-demand store.
So that's a boot.
And now I am in Bali being a digital nomad while I work on my store.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I actually started with a different supplier when I first started print-on-demand, but the prices were a lot more, and I was getting tons of quality complaints.
All right. Oh, I thought we were done with you. Anyway. Way. All right. Way to go, you. All right. She's out of here. Oh, you weren't even hearing us say way. Ladies and gentlemen, in the room with me right now is a man who never says way, except when he's on G.D. Fenderson Way, new block in Westminster, Maryland. Good morning, G.D. What's going on here with this layout? I don't like it. That's better.
America, minddogtv.com.
That's how you get to be number 12.
You're popular digital broadcast featuring a hairless host that has cats, chickens, deer, wild turkeys, and a black guy. Go to minddogtv/merch for all your hairless needs. Get rid of those rabbits before they eat your furniture.
Yeah. I think this guy
merch nerds and enjoy the suffering.
We've been getting some weird kickbots lately. Last night I reran JT Habersack episode and there was a kick button. Let me see if I can find that. I want to share that stupid chat because there was banana something $100. I don't understand these fucking people. They're all crazy. Banana, where are you, banana? Is this it? Yeah, but
Matt,
here
will
it
you be
is.
able to
Hold on,
hold the fort down for like 45 seconds to a minute?
All right, I will.
forgot to turn the television on for my cat, and my cat is in here bugging me. I have to go turn the television on for the cat.
What does he want to watch? Why won't he watch this show? All right, go ahead. Good. Let me put. But I think you're gonna enjoy this. Banana Monkey Chicken is the quote for the chat thing that says $100 for a Banana Monkey Chicken. Now I could get a Banana Monkey Chicken at 11.23 for $200 because we find a hop up, you find a cook with it. Got it? So Banana Monkey Chicken, $100. Banana Monkey Chicken, $200 because we find a hop up. Trying to walk around nappy.
Because we finna.
Come on.
We finna hop up. Finna?
Finna. Oh.
Well, you have two consonants, double consonants, that would make the vowel in that first syllable a short vowel. Because you would split, phonetically you split the word into syllables between the two ends. And so it would be finna.
So basically,
I guess that's slang for fitting to. You know, like we're fitting to do this. Finna, we're fitting to do. Finna hop.
So Banana Monkey Chicken.
I don't know what the fuck that means. Okay.
Thank you very much. I went up $100.
I went to we had a holiday, or we had a Christmas party back when I used to work for a company that rhymes with Comcast. And this guy brought something called monkey ball cake, which I had never heard of. But it was very good, very fattening, and it probably is what caused my diabetes 40 years later. But I never heard of monkey ball cake. So Banana Monkey Chicken, they got turducken.
Made from 100% real monkey balls.
Some people were looking for that, but it's just dough. It's like dough that you bought, like biscuit dough or bread, that you roll into cinnamon and sugar, and you put the balls together so there's a bunch of little balls. You roll them in cinnamon and sugar and maybe honey, I don't know, and you stick them all together like it's a cake, and you bake it. And then so when you have the cake, once it comes out the oven, you have all these little balls of dough with sugar and cinnamon attached together with icing, and you pull them off, and they come off in little balls. So they're called monkey balls because they're little. I'm sorry?
Talking to these people out there, think it's fucking easy to have a number 12 podcast in the indie comedy podcast of all time. You got to start by talking about monkey balls and Banana Monkey Chicken. This is how it's done.
Yeah, and look, if I can have the worst comedy special of all time, surely we're allowed to have the 12th best indie comedy podcast of all time.
Oh, I can't do that.
Now, I'm thinking there's also a caveat. They're probably like maybe looking at a certain income bracket, or or maybe they're only looking at
how about this?
You have to have so many. You have to have so many episodes in order to qualify. You've been doing this for like what, 30 years? So you probably have like 700,000 episodes, and you need at least 50,000.
I feel like I'm having an episode right now. But you said it could, there's, whatever, disclaimers, whatever the fuck you said there. Caveat. There was a guy on, caveat. Doesn't that go with like snails or something? Caveat, I don't know, whatever. Champagne and caveat. A guy said he voted for Trump 3 times. And then he was like, what happened to this guy? Did he have dementia? Did he lose his mind? Or was he just fucking lying? And I'm thinking, Oscom's razor, he was just fucking lying all the time. Hello, duh. You had 40 years to understand who this man was. But the simple answer here is Goodbot's just fucking lying to me. I don't know what they're not asking me for a check, which is like, why lie to me? But I feel like those numbers can't be right. no matter what caveats you come up with. There's no way in hell we are number 17 in comedy podcasts of all time. They're not by any list you can fucking imagine.
How many episodes do you think you've done? I mean, because
this, I know.
well, this is like
1050.
well, this show is like 1,000 something. But I mean, you as
1056. And then the other, the Mind Dog TV podcast, which is data, that's a somewhere close to about 3,000 now. So not quite 3,000. It's like 2,800 or something. So that would make it like 3,100. I know that's a lot for some people. The average podcast doesn't make it to 3. Like if you take the Stephen Ortiz brand, I'm sorry, that was me.
And
but
also, okay. Now, during COVID, a friend of mine, his podcast won an Emmy.
An Emmy?
Not
a Webby?
No, an Emmy. Yeah, an Emmy, an actual Emmy. Now, the reason being was during COVID, things were shut down. And he was one of the few people who was still doing his podcast, but he was streaming it live. Most other people was doing theirs, recording and at a later date. Yeah. Because he was doing his live, it qualified for some odd reason as a program. And so in that category, he got an Emmy. Now, I don't know how many other, now I've been on his podcast many times. Unless it was during COVID when there were only 3 other shows going, I don't see how it won an Emmy.
I was on doing it live during all COVID. I started before COVID and was doing all of it live. Had my own television channel there on the Amazon Fire and Roku and all that kind of stuff. And,
so now you feel bad because this is actually much better. This is better than what. Well, now it's better in the sense that, yeah, it's a better show. It's better.
You got any money? Cause I could borrow because I'm looking to buy Greenland.
Use your check that you won't cash.
Well, I need well, you do have that check. I was looking at it last night, and I was like, you know what? What if would I get arrested if I went to a check cashing place and tried to cash that? Like, this is you trying to, I don't know, you trying to do something shady here, dude? And like, I'm just trying to cash a check. They sent me a check with my name on it, and for this money, I'm not doing anything illegal if I try to cash that, am I? Just because I suspect it to be made of rubber. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Dylan Brody said.
That's what you're talking about, Dylan Brody. So let
me show you how I hate. I know you love how I hate. I love how you hate me. Did he hate it?
No,
I know what he did. He said, this is really good, but it needs like 8 fucking words. Let me. Right? I'm right.
Actually, this is what he said. He goes, "That's beautiful. That's really beautiful." He goes, "Now," he goes, He says it's beautifully written. Your imagery is wonderful. He goes, "Now." See, because what he does is he has a rule. His rule is before he criticizes you, he's going to tell you what he likes first, and then he gives you the negative, and then he finishes with something positive. So it's a critique sandwich is what he does. So he told me it was beautifully written, and then he goes, now at times it seems like a stream of consciousness, and some of the paragraphs seem a little out of order. And so I understood what he meant, and I went through and I read it, and he goes like this section, blah, blah, blah. And I thought about it, and I said, yeah, I can see that. And so I switched the order of those 2 paragraphs. Actually, he says, do you want to fix it now? I said, no, I want to sleep on it. He goes, okay, I got it. And then he finished up. And then he finished up with it. He goes, this is a really, really good first draft. And he doesn't realize that once I do my really, really good first draft, I don't really want to do too much more to it. Yeah. I knew it was good. I knew it was missing something. I just didn't know what, which is why I needed another set of eyes.
I think it was missing
8 words.
Duval, I think. What the fuck is that? Remember, we used to have Robert Duval on the program every once in a while. Not yet.
Good
Anyway,
morning, Mickey.
go Jack.
Mickey's at Govs, and I neglected to say. He said he wants to know how we're doing. Mickey,
We're doing.
To be honest, I can answer for Matt. Matt is always one instant away from having a stroke.
Fair. That's probably accurate. I had a meeting.
Well, hello there, Soundwave. Well, I'm sorry. I guess I have to do this right by. Oh, he's not going to see it. If I type it in, he's not going to see it. So I'll just say hi.
We could type it in the Mind Dog thing, the in StreamYard.
Yeah, but then people would think it was you saying it, and you wouldn't say these things that I say.
Nobody would think I could type, and they would see me not typing because I have a very distinct typing method. It's like the chickens taught me it.
Yeah, hunt and peck. It's called hunt and peck.
And now I know about pecking order because they're absolutely. I saw pecking order. They actually have an order which they're when you dump the food in one place and they're all around. There's an order of pecking. You peck, I peck. Hey, peck.
Wait a minute. Nobody else can peck until you go. What are you doing over there? Hey, stop cleaning your nails. It's your turn to peck. We can't peck until you peck.
That's exactly right. Yesterday, you taught me something, and while you were teaching me something, I got distracted from the main point.
Okay, I apologize.
I'd like to correct
First of all,
the
I
record.
apologize for even attempting to teach, and second of all, I didn't mean to even distract. What was the main point? Because I forgot my main point
was about centrist in New York, and you taught me that Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, Hakeem Jeffries was a centrist.
He's not a centrist. He is.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, there's a difference. He's a left, well, he's a little bit left, but he's not a centrist, but he's a lefty who just caves to the right wing because he out of cowardice, fear, whatever, weakness. But that's different from being a centrist. It's not like he believes in centrist things. He believes in leftist things, but the right pushes him just a little bit. And he says, okay, Chuck, write you a serious, a strongly worded letter. Okay, that's different than being I don't think he's a centrist. And here's another thing I will say before you.
I told my wife that you would find a way to him not being a centrist. I told my wife you would do that. So go ahead.
All right.
Going.
Well, you were right because Kamala Harris is more conservative than anybody in the Republican Party right now. I mentioned the other day that her and Valhalla's take on Venezuela lined up exactly. If you look at what real conservatism was, the Eisenhower conservatism, Harris lines up with that. Jeffries, even Bernie Sanders is close to that. The Republican Party has gone so far from what their roots were, and that happens. You can look at the Democratic Party from their roots, starting out in the Civil War era to where they are now. They're completely different. But the Republican Party is not conservative at all, and they think they are, and their followers think they are, but they're not. They don't line up with the Teddy Roosevelt and Eisenhower Republicans, the guys who.
This is. I don't think that Hakeem Jeffries started out trying to be a centrist. What happens is, if this is his position, my hand relative to the screen and my face is actually dead center. What happens is the right starts to move further to the right, and then the extreme left starts to move further to the left, and by relative position, he becomes centrist by default if my head is center. Even if he doesn't change, the center
I get it.
changes.
No, I think he ended up in the center. I don't disagree with you on that. But I don't think he's a centrist by ideology. I think he's a centrist by being weak. And not having a backbone to stand up for what he truly believes in.
Now, so I mean, for example, I do not know that he would. Again, but I'm not a progressive. I just want to see things fixed, and a lot of things it takes to fix things would be considered progressive. Fix the Supreme Court by adding more justices, having one per district. Right now, there's 9 justices, but 13 districts. 13 circuits. So you should have one Supreme Court justice per circuit court. So there's 13.
Right.
Instead of having one judge overlooking two.
You have
there's a couple of places where there's one judge overlooking two. And the districts aren't all the same size. They don't all include the same number of people, which gives one justice more power than others. So that's the thing. So if you give them 13 justices, you give them basically the same amount of population over which they are, makes those decisions.
I think people are taking mind bloom as you're speaking, because I feel the confusion going on. I feel it. It's like a mass wave of.
Well, I'm just saying that it's funny. Recent events in Venezuela, because I'm not often wrong about stuff, but I know my problem with this administration is I keep trying to apply a certain amount of logic to it to Donald Trump. Yeah, and it's not, and the problem is it's not. Donald Trump has no compass. He has no compass, and he has no interest in being president. So what we actually have is, let's say, 12 presidents. Okay, so we have Stephen Miller is a president, de facto president, but only of a certain area.
That's funny because Steve Miller is also the take the money and run guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. They're taking the money and run. So it's not by accident. Marco Rubio is a de facto president, but only when it comes to trying to weaken Cuba. That's his thing. So each of these people has an agenda around Trump. His cabinet members, they all have a different agenda, and now they see that they can do it because Trump doesn't really give a fuck. And then he's surrounded by CEOs, and they have their agendas, and they are all pushing ideas toward Trump, and Trump doesn't care. As long as Trump can wind up with more money, and stay out of jail and get his name put on shit, he doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck about the country.
Stay out of jail.
My thing was, I wasn't broadening my scope of influence around Trump, which is why I made it so hard to predict what he might do or might not do. Because when you think about it, there's nothing that Trump will not do except for right by the people. Okay. So if you take that out of the formula, he won't not do anything right by the people. You can almost know what he's going to do.
You look at us. Would you look at us? You see us? Here's the thing. We know that politics bores the shit out of fucking people.
You cheap bastard.
Wow. Huh?
You're a cheap bastard. You don't want to give me my nickel, so you don't want to say here's the deal. So now you're going,
oh no.
Here's the thing.
All right, here's the deal.
Here's the situation. Any word, you just you'll say anything not to pay me my
Deals are here. We know that politics makes people run for the hills, and still I push politics, and then we go off on it, and then but
the numbers are going up.
You see this counter on StreamYard here. We have this weird little counter. That doesn't show like half of the fucking platforms that we're on.
Right. It only shows this right here. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a little confusing, and I can't look at that so here's the thing. Here's the deal. Yesterday I had a meeting after the program with a woman I might end up working with on her social media stuff and all that stuff. I had to convince her that people perceive me as negative. I know. I'm surprised it took you long enough to laugh at that.
Did you ever watch the show?
She set claim to have watched the show and enjoyed the show.
You may have watched one episode, and it was probably one of the episodes where somebody was getting you to relax and meditate, and so you're going, and then she's going like, "Oh, he's open-minded to meditating. He can't be that bad."
I am,
and then
definitely.
She didn't watch the next. Then she missed the very next episode. He goes, "Die and go to hell, you fucking whore."
See, I never said. I said, Yeah, I did say all of that.
I can't remember all of your quotables. Okay.
No, that's quotable enough. I haven't called anybody a skank whore in a long time. Way overdue for that. But I kind of had this moment of self-discovery. I'm not negative about everything. I'm negative about things that piss me off or I have no interest in, like comedians who. And I'm going to post something about this today because we were talking to JT Habersat about the Austin comedy scene, and the Kill Tony stuff came up, and there was like a made man type of thing in that. But I'm definitely negative about people's pipe dreams of just going there and getting their minute of fame. That stuff kind of brings out the negativity in me when I hear people abandoning their 5 kids child support to go hitchhike to Austin or whatever, take a ride to Austin, Texas, to hopefully get on 1 minute so the world notices them in that 1 second, 1 minute of time where we gotta put millions of dollars behind it. That stuff makes me very negative when I hear people just not willing to put in the work and just wanting to stardom. That shit makes me negative, no doubt about it. I'm negative. I'm a negative Nelly, and I'm a dream killer, a buzzkill on that kind of stuff. When somebody tells me, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to win $30,000 from Facebook in the next 2 weeks, I tend to get negative about shit like that. Like, no, you're not. Generally, I'm right, and you can't say it's the law of attraction. Me willing that into place.
Yeah, I'm gonna do you a big favor, Matt. And which is slightly different than an automat. I just don't want people to get a favor mat and an automat mixed up. So, or rotomat. This is a photomat even. This is a favor mat. I'm gonna send you the copy of my second draft, my forward to read. I'm gonna let you read my second draft.
I catch a draft if you catch my drift.
Yeah. And don't think you're going to get out of the draft by telling me you have a bone spur.
So I
can't look at your draft. I have a bone spur.
I just read it live on the air.
Oh no. I'm going to email it to you. Now, once either the book is out or once he goes, because he wants us to promote the book. He said to me, start talking about it. I don't want to start talking about it until I know he's going to use it because it changes the way I talk about it.
Well, we could talk about it. He's got a book.
Yeah, he's got a book.
It's coming out. It's coming out. And when we'll have the link in the description when the book is out.
Yeah.
So you could,
but it'll change the way I talk about it. If it's one way, I'll go like, so-and-so has a book coming out, and I wrote the forward for it, or a friend of mine has a book coming out.
I wrote the backward for it.
Huh?
I wrote the backward for it.
Oh, yeah, that's
backward.
Now that's what Dylan in last night's workshop. Dylan had us write because I read the forward for him, and he goes, "Okay, tonight I want you to write 5 jokes based on this." He goes, "Your opening line is, a friend of mine asked me to write a forward for his book, and then you need to write 5 punchlines to that." He goes, "They don't have to be good. Just get them out there. Just crank them out."
They don't have to be good.
Right. He goes, "You don't have to be good.
You got the right man for the job."
Right. You don't have to be good. Just write those 5 jokes, and then we'll fine tune them to try to see if we can find the funny.
Punch them up, as I like to say. Punch up.
Yeah, but you're supposed to punch up when comedy. That's the whole point of comedy is to punch up.
That is right. Ow. I'm stabbing myself in the ear. Now, coming back to this subject of comedy, not forwards, but backwards. And this JT Habersat thing, because I was watching this interview last night. First of all, I discovered that my family story doesn't add up. I heard myself saying it, and it's like, math-wise, this isn't, and I'll get to that. But this Kill Tony thing, I think, and this is my negative Nelly for all those dreamers, I'm going to go there, get my minute, and get famous. If you took a poll of all the regular people who are not hardcore comedy fans, you took a poll of all of them and said, who are the big stars to come out of, who's the people who made a big splash on Kill Tony? Most of them would say, kill what? Who's Tony? Is he dead? Nobody knows. Like, the whatever William Montgomerys or the Cam Pattersons, or nobody knows any of those fucking people. I'm talking about regular people, comedians and people who follow comedy very closely. Might know some of them. Not even all comedians know them. So this whole idea that you're going to get famous by going there. People who know Dave Chappelle and people who know Sebastian Maniscalco or Jim Gaffigan, people who know those names, Jerry Seinfeld, whatever, they don't know fucking William Montgomery. It's Kill Tony did not make stars out of these people. He made stars within open micers. Open micers know who they are. Every open micer and every Kill Tony fan, but the average person doesn't even know who Kill Tony is. And I just want to get that on the table for the pipe dreamers. I'm going to go here. I'm going to be a movie star because I got my minute on Kill Tony.
Now, you're going to have to vamp for a minute because I never did turn the television on for my cat.
All right. So, what does she watch?
She watches the news. Oh, I'll be right back.
That's bad for you. All right. Go put meow. Here's how the family story doesn't add up. And GD will have to kind of rewind to hear this kind of thing. But I have been, and I didn't make this story up. I'm just relaying stories that my family has told to me. And I never did the math on them until last night, hearing myself tell the story to GD. That first of all, every male family member of my father's family died at 54. That is, so my brother believed that, I believe that, and it might be true. But the fact that I said that my father was the last of 17 children, and his mother was almost 50, or right about 50 when she had him, and his oldest brother died in his 40s, that is impossible. He would have to have died at least into his 50s and possibly into his 60s to make that even possible. So the story I've been telling the world for most of my life, 66 years now, cannot be true. And it took till actually hearing myself tell that, all of it together in one bunch to GD on this rerun that I was watching last night. I said, hey, wait a minute. I'm lying. I don't want me to be lying. I never want, again, these are things that my family has passed on to me that I just repeated without ever checking on the math. So I'm going to have to do some revision here, and I don't know even where to start. Did every member of the family, a male member of the family, ever really die at 54? If not, yeah, that's all believing in this fucking curse that we were all doomed for 54 years needlessly. And, you know, I lost a few nights' sleep. And I know my brother definitely thought he was a goner at 54. So that could be true or it could be a lie, but all of it together can't be true. The math just doesn't add up. So I feel bad. Not that anybody gives a shit or has been following my dopey stories and doing it. Nobody else has done the math to check me out and say, hey, wait a minute, this shit you're telling about your family can't possibly be true based on the math. But I discovered it by telling GD, listening to myself tell GD about it. And I'm surprised you didn't call me on it. Like, say, hey, wait a minute, the math just doesn't work here. But there it is.
Well, because to me, what's more important? If the event happened, or if you have the timeline a little bit wrong.
Or if it's a good story.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll give you an example of why I'm not so picky about that kind of stuff, unless it really, really, really matters. If we were like under oath or something and it mattered, but we're not under oath. When I was younger, I said to my mother, "Mom, remember the Thanksgiving when we had that we had the turkey that they made the turkey." They didn't cut the neck off the turkey. So they made the turkey, and when it was done, they made the neck, they cooked the neck, and it looked like a penis. So they put 2 boiled eggs underneath of the turkey neck so that it would look like a penis with testicles. Okay. Now, this was not our turkey. It was like at one of our relatives' house, one of my aunts. They did the turkey like that. And my mother goes, It never happened. I said, Mom, I know it happened because there's pictures. My mother goes, it never happened. And the problem was, it wasn't Thanksgiving, it was Christmas. And rather than my mother to say, we had that turkey with the penis and the testicles, but it's rather than to say that, she just rather me think that the event never happened. And once I found the pictures, the slides, I said, motherfucker, see, I knew it. Because that's the other thing my mother did. We had these people, a lot of people, young people don't know about slide machines. Okay. Slide machines. Okay, this is a slide. Okay, I still have one of these. This is a slide. A slide machine.
It's like a caveman version of PowerPoint, is what he said.
It's like PowerPoint for cavemen. And so we have this machine that projects this onto a screen or to a wall, this image. But the slide machine has like this reel, and it holds like 50 slides in it. And you can go click, click, and show the next slide. Click, click, show the next slide. So, and we had and we would show these slides at like every gathering.
Click, click.
In the same, we didn't take the order. We didn't change them out.
Click, click.
And all of a sudden, we're going through, and there are these blank spots. It's like there's white spot. My mother goes, and everybody goes, what happened to that picture? My mother goes, I have no idea. My mother took out the slides that she thought were embarrassing over the years and hid them. And so the turkey dick one was one of the slides that she took out.
Turkey dick.
Yes. So,
and not to interrupt you, but I'm interrupting you. That turkey dick was my nickname back in high school. So go ahead.
So that was one of the many slides that my mother had taken out, along with other things that I asked my mother about. My mother goes, never happened, never happened. And then I find the slides and I put them all back in, so that when I digitized all of the slides for the rest of my family, things that my mother said I was lying about, she should have just came clean, because now the rest of the family knows I was not lying about the turkey dick. I wasn't lying about the time that my mother did like this guy passed out drunk at a party. It was like this. And so my mother takes her pants off and sticks her pussy right in his face, and they take a picture of him like this, with her shoving her pussy right in his face.
They
take illegal. That picture. It is in 2 states: inebriation and the state of sobriety, and the state of Utah.
This person, Evil Ian 02. Have you ever heard of Evil Ian 02? Oh, ironically, we know an Evil Ian. 02 must be his shitty cousin or identical twin.
Or it could be his son, number 2, Evil Ian II.
That could be. Then yeah, but I thought that was like 2 Roman numerals, not 02.
That one was already taken.
Trump doesn't even know Tony Hinchcliffe, and he performed at Trump's MSG event. That's true. Trump doesn't even know Tony Hinchcliffe. Yeah, so
now Tony's trying to not know Trump. It's reciprocal.
No, Tony, he's still kissing Trump's ass. He said Trump is the funniest person on the planet, and that's why he liked him as president. Like, funny is, first of all, funny, like how? You're not laughing with him, you're laughing at him because he's such a dick, I think. But that's not a qualification that for the president's job. It's not like on the job board where it says President of the United States, help wanted. It doesn't list being funny as one of the things. One of the things, because I cannot think of words. Words are really baffling to me.
What are words for? No more anymore.
I think we, because I watched that Tony did that JT Habisat interview as it was airing last. I was listening to it while I was doing my work, and I think we started off really put him in a very uncomfortable place because said he was. Well, you and I, because first of all, I said he wasn't allowed to talk to you because he was black and he was. And then you said to him, "Yeah, you just
name dropping or black name dropping."
Yeah, right. And he was starting to get a little defensive. You're like, "What the fuck? I'm coming on these podcasts to talk to these guys, and they're attacking me like I'm some kind of racist." I think he was a little on the defensive, and I was like, "Man, what
Yeah,
the
he
fuck
was.
are we doing?"
Yeah, he was. He was a little defensive. And you know something? That's just something a racist would be. No, just stop. No.
He's not a racist. He's
No,
not even
no,
a little racist.
No, believe me, I don't think he's even a little bit racist. Because if he were racist, I would have approached him totally differently.
Yeah, but he doesn't know our sense of humor, and we were fucking around with that shit, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on here? What did I come into? I invited myself to get accused of fucking things I'm not."
Okay, but here's compare him. He's a professional comedian. Compare him to J.M. Shaw, who's not a comedian and is what, ADHD, so a slight and we immediately go to like the race stuff with her. It's like, what do you mean I don't scare you? That's my whole business model, scaring white women. She is like, she didn't like, she rolled with it.
To be fair, she had watched the program every day for about 3 weeks before coming on. I see her on Facebook logged in over there. So she had gotten prepared herself a little bit.
Okay, yeah. It's you guys aren't as scary as you think you are. It's like, boogie.
We brought it back a little bit with that JT stuff. There was some really good stuff in there, and hopefully I'll share some reels with that stuff. But particularly about all this division within, or the rumored division. Like there's two teams in comedy, and basically it's not that way. It's not like among the successful comedians. Now among the open micers, it's a whole different.
Oh God, yeah. Crabs. It's not crabs in a barrel are more congenial than comedians at the open mic level.
Yeah, but there's so many of the ones at the open mic level that they paint the whole perception of what comedy is about because there's so many of them. So there's that. Switching gears a little bit. I'm inspired. Why inspired? John Beaver's got me on thinking about doing Bigfoot stuff. So last night I did it's a Photoshop painting. I went in Photoshop and created a Bigfoot painting, and I'm going to try to do it I want to try to do it in oil, I think, because it will be a little difficult to do in acrylic. I want to show it though, because I started out, ooh, that looks ugly in there. Looks better there. No, it looks better. Oh, there. Yeah, let's see if I share it. It's probably going to look distorted here. I don't know why, because got some kind of, maybe it's just too big. Is it just too big to share? Oh yeah, it says the image is too big to share. Image file, please try with a smaller file. Oh, I can't share it. Anyway, so the idea is using Photoshop as a tool for composition and creating this this image, and then trying to reproduce that in actual paint on canvas, and then selling prints, because I guess $150 is a lot to ask for an original painting. So I just thought, well, here's what I'll do. I'll make the price of the original, keep that at 150. But if you want to print, I can go to like take a print of it and put it on canvas for much cheaper. But you don't get the original painting then. We could do it for 30, and then just resell them, come up with good ones, and just
actually, like that's a pretty good business model. You're thinking like an art gallery.
It was inspired by Printify. If you want to start your own business, you can go to Printify. There's a link in the description. There's a link in the chat room somewhere in the chat room up there. Printify. You don't even need any money to get started. They have 1,000 good products.
You just reminded me of a meme I wanted to write, and I forgot.
Meme?
Yeah.
Mimi.
Yeah.
Mimi.
Yeah.
I ate a gummy last night.
What?
Yeah. I'm disappointed in myself too. You would think that if you eat a gummy, you chances of falling asleep are enhanced, but no. It turns out
not necessarily.
Oh no, I just want to be up all night and think of nonsense that I'm never going to use anywhere. Create things that are useless to everybody. That's So I was up to 2:30 in the morning just putting out lots of useless shit.
So we went to bed about the same time. I went to bed around 2:30, 2:35.
Yeah, but I still didn't get to sleep because I was still gummied out.
Oh, okay. No,
So
I dropped out like almost within four minutes of it.
I have to say the investment in these gummies for $5, 3 of them for $5. It's probably 3 full days of. I experienced a full day from yesterday till this morning, but if I get the timing right, that's a good investment in your THC dollar.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds good. Yeah.
And meet me at Puspatak. All of you people. I want to meet you all at Puspatak. I'm looking for spaces to do paint parties on my own. I know I got rehired from the unhired people, but I want to, you know what? I want to be the boss. I want to say this is what we're painting today. And with the libraries and the wineries that I'm doing, they let me choose. Like you create the workshop. So spring flowers in April. April 6th. I have one. It's called the spring flower beginner spring flowers. Depending on where it is, beach
You know what you
seascapes
should do?
down at the beach.
You should do one on April 4th and maybe have it like 4 or 5 black guys on a balcony. And one of them has like maybe he's like laying down instead of standing up, and the other black guys are like pointing. You could do that painting, and maybe you can call it James Earl Jones,
right,
or something like that,
which is different than James Earl Jones. No, James Earl Ray.
Right? James Earl Ray.
I think I make that mistake all the time.
I used to. That was part
of. If you shoot him, he will die.
I used to do that as part of a comedy sketch about one of my bits, based on people's ignorance of history. And I used to say, and I wouldn't correct it. I say, there's still kids out there who think James Earl Jones shot Martin Luther King. Now, I wish I thought of that tag. If you shoot him, he will die. I'd never thought of that tag. It's like, no.
People will come, Ray. People will more definitely come. Well, I hope they wipe it up.
King, I'm your shooter.
Yeah. So. I lost this guy, Obi Kwan. I'm thinking about 15 years ago now on Facebook. This guy, Obi Kwan. He's a percussionist. We had a common friend, a musician, and we were Facebook buddies. Anyway, he was bitching about he wanted to get a guy banned. Who the guy said, "Happy James Earl Jones Day," and well, that's such a racist thing. I was like, maybe not so much. What do you mean not so much? He's celebrating James Earl Jones. He said, no, Happy James Earl Jones Day. Because at the time, Martin Luther King's family was saying that James Earl Jones, what? James Earl Ray.
I know what you're talking about, but go ahead. You're saying
I'm
James
lost.
Earl Jones.
James Earl Ray. James Earl Ray. Yeah. They were saying that Martin Luther King's family was saying that he was a patsy. He was set up. He wasn't even as racist. I think he was very much a racist.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
The guy who wanted this other guy banned for saying that on Facebook. I was like, you don't know. He might be ignorant. He might not be saying that as a racist thing. Oh yeah, you're just being argumentative. I'm just saying maybe you could go to the guy and ask him what his intent was before you go to get him banned from Facebook. And he was pissed that Facebook wouldn't ban him. It's like, you don't get to say, I'm sorry. It's not, if you want your own platform, then you can choose who gets banned and who doesn't. But in the meantime, complaining about that shit. So I lost he blocked me from then. I haven't talked to him. It's like 15, 16 years now. Just a dumb thing to get all excited about. Oh, you just argue with me. This is my page. How dare you argue with me on it? Well, it showed up on my page. Your comment showed up on my page. Of course, I'm allowed to have a counterpoint. I guess not. Anyway, so I have a show tonight with Rachel Wellner, who is we're going to talk about raising kids. I'm the wrong guy to ask about raising kids. I'm not good at that.
You know who would be great at that? See if you can get. I can't remember his name. Is it Willie? It's a comedian guy. I think he has like I think he's raised 5 kids.
Wow.
You should get him on the show. Is a comedian who's raised like 5 kids. He's trying to get on Kill Tony, I think.
No, I thought you were talking about Robin Harris with Bebe's kids. But he's dead. And he has been on the show many times, dead. Through all the psychics that we have on the show, they bring him on. Yesterday, you said you were talking about, or maybe it was yesterday or the day before, that you'd only spent $1 on weed in your whole life.
Well, yes, $1.
And I said by the time the second day of school in 6th grade, I had spent twice what, because we used to spend $1 a day. And then it occurred to me, like, why hadn't this occurred to me before? That I used to buy a joint a day with my lunch money, $1 a day. I'd buy a joint. The dealer's name was Willie C. Right? Why didn't that?
Was the C for cannabis? What was the C for?
No, it was Willie C.
I don't mean C4. When I say C4, I'm not talking about the explosive. I want to know what the C stood for, not what C for. I don't want to get banned.
On Facebook, he doesn't use the letter C. He uses SEE. But I think the C was really for an initial for his last name or something. But yeah, dollar a joint those days, and they were like toothpick joints. Loose joints, but Willie C. So he wasn't the one Willie C. He was the original Willie.
One
C.
joint Willie C.
Willie.
It's funny. All my life, I've never spent any money on drugs at all, except for that $1. That $1 when I was like 15 years old. I was probably 15. I couldn't have been more than 15 because I didn't have a license yet. So I could have been 14. 14 or 15 because I didn't have a license to drive yet. But that's it. I lent a guy $1 and he gave me a nickel bag of pot. So technically, I wasn't even spending the $1 on drugs. I lent him $1 and he paid me back with $5 worth of merchandise that I could have sold for $5, or I could have, smoked it.
Do you know about the Jackie Rodney loan story? Jackie borrowed $10,000 from Rodney Dangerfield, and
is that when he was paying him back in jokes?
Paid him back in jokes, and he didn't ask him he just said, well, there was a little bit of contention there. Like Rodney was expecting money back, not joke. And how do you it wasn't 10,000 jokes, it was like $50 a joke or something.
It's back then. It was writing a joke was like,
this one joke is worth $10,000. Where that's the price tag on it, man. Take it or leave it. So
now it depends on the joke, and I don't know that because I was offered $75 for a joke of mine, and I said, I tell you what, I've never sold a joke before in my life. You can have this one for free, but if you want another one, I will charge you. And so
I don't know.
And I don't even remember I gave him the joke because it was something that I said. It was only a joke because it was funny. I was not trying to make anybody laugh. You understand? You know what I'm saying? It was just a conversation we were having. Somebody said something, and that became like a setup for me. I responded. It just happened to be in the form of a punchline. They liked it and said, "Can I have that joke? I'll pay you for it." And it was something I would never use. I would never use it because I have a formula the way I do my stories or whatever. I would never,
I'm putting this on Facebook Marketplace today. And you can use this however you want, but there's a price on it. I don't know. I think $35 sounds fair. I said ping pong balls, not King Kong balls. $35 on Facebook Marketplace only. I'll put it on Craigslist for probably $75, but you can get it on Facebook Marketplace for $35 because we're running a joke sale today.
Now, I was working with Dylan last night, and again we have
Bob
Dylan Brody. and he said something that it was almost like it was an epiphany to him, but it was something I had known, from working with him from years ago. Okay, he and I both used to write sketches for Politipod. He and I both wrote sketches, but I wrote sketches that did not pertain jokes. They were just funny. They were situationally funny, and so the conversations in the situations became funny. But he wrote things like, no, he wrote sketches like it had to be joke in the sketch. And that's not the way I write. And so last night he gave me a premise. He goes, I want you to write on this and see where it goes. And I wrote it, and the other person in the room is laughing as I read it, but there's no jokes in it, not one joke. And they laugh, and when we got to the end, they laughed loud. And Dylan goes, that's not where I thought you were going to go with that. He goes, I didn't expect you to go in that direction. Now, he didn't say it was bad, but I could see, but I saw him smiling. So I know he was thought it was funny. He goes, that's not where I thought you were going to go with that. That's not. He goes, okay. I'm a big fan of the punchline setup. And he goes, he's like, and you, he goes, and you, it's almost like you're, and I said, punchline a verse. And he goes, yes. Yes.
Wow.
You walk right up to the line where this would be a punchline, and you go, all right. And then you go to the next, you don't deliver that punchline. You just go on. And so,
the anti-comic.
He goes, yes, it's like you're trying to avoid the punchline. I says, no, I'm not trying to avoid the punchline. I'm really not. That's just the way I write. If I'm writing a situation, if I'm writing a scene, I don't necessarily feel like I need to tell the joke. I want the scene to be funny without necessarily, going, dum-dum. Right. I don't want that.
I like that dum-dum. I wanted the dum-dum.
Well, I don't.
My dum-dum.
I mean, there are places for the dum-dum. Like on stage. When you're on stage telling jokes, dum-dum. Wonderful. It's necessary. But if you're writing a sketch, okay, to me, the dum-dum, no, I just want them to laugh and enjoy it. And when it's over, say, oh, that was good.
I remember Bill Cosby lecturing Ed Shaughnessy, who was the was the drummer for the Tonight Show Orchestra, and Bill Cosby was guest hosting the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, because Johnny took off a lot, and he was he was arguing, he was yelling at Ed Shaughnessy. He said, "Don't paradiddle the damn thing. It's just but I'm bum." comedy drumming. There's a whole school. You're trying to jazz it up. You don't paradiddle but a bump. Cosby was great. He was great at unfortunately being a perv, but he was also a fucking great stand-up comedian and great comic guest host on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, I hate to be the one to defend Bill Cosby, but in fairness, back then, almost everybody was taking Quaaludes together. It was like
I got in so much trouble for this because my generation, this because you're of the same generation. Quaaludes was a thing, and Quaaludes was a fucking date rape drug. I mean,
yes.
I took them, and we took them together a lot of times. The idea was let's take Quaaludes and fuck. Yeah.
Yes, that's the shit. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't abuse the privilege, so to speak. There could have been, okay, it'd be like, I had a friend of mine, a woman, and we were both drinking, okay? Now, unfortunately, and I'm saying unfortunately because this was not my idea. My mother raised me that if a woman could not consent, you don't fuck them, plain and simple. That's how I was raised. And my mother started that when I was 6 years old, when I had no idea what consent meant. I thought she was talking about getting permission to play with other kids' toys. That's what I thought she was talking about. She was talking about don't be fucking people without them saying yes. And so, I'd be out with women, and we have a few drinks, and we get to the point where we could, fuck whatever. And then they get to the point where they really can't consent, and I know they just aren't resisting. I was like, no, I'll tuck you into bed and we'll fuck when you can resist. not that I want them to fight me off, but I'm not doing, So, and I can see where somebody else going like, okay, we were drinking together. We had planned on fucking. She just passed out before we got to finish. And I'm not condoning it. It. But back then, that was probably like par for the course, so to speak.
It definitely was. I mean, you're right about a lot of things there. First of all, sometimes you would just pass out.
We're going to get letters. We're going to get letters.
No, we definitely are. I tried to make this case a bunch of times. If you didn't live, but he carried it on way past the 70s. He was doing it in the 80s.
Yes.
By that time, we were educated on it. But
yes, by then we weren't using Quaaludes anymore. By then we were using Spanish flies. I think we'd moved on to.
All downers, all those down, Valiums even, because we wouldn't just take a couple of Valiums. We would get the 10 milligram Valiums and eat 20 of them. And you would lose your memory, you would pass out, you would do things. But in the back of your mind, I mean, it was free sex generation. People find this hard to believe. But men and women alike both took these downers knowing we're probably going to fuck and there's probably going to be some loss of memory and all this kind of stuff. But I think Cosby never got the memo that, that was wrong. He never got the memo. So as the 80s came in, he was still doing it. And 90s came in, he was still doing it. And then basically people said, hey, that shit stopped in the 70s, Bill.
When I was a senior in high school, this is like 1976, 1977, somewhere in there. When I was a senior in high school, I was on a date with this girl. And she passed out. I mean, she passed out in my arms and nothing happened, but I couldn't leave because she was like dead weight. And so I was like, I'm like, stuck there like this, say I don't know if you've ever been there, Matt, where they just fall asleep and you just can't move because, so I was stuck there for like 2 hours or so. I didn't cop a feel. I didn't touch her or anything like that. She just passed out and that's it. The last thing she remembered before that was that we were making out. And in her brain, she took it to the logical conclusion. So when she woke up, she's like fully clothed again still. And so she's thinking, it happened. She's dressed again. And so she asked me something and I said, nothing happened. She goes, nothing? I said, no, you passed out in my arms. She goes, are you sure we didn't do anything? No. I said, nothing happened. And she goes, don't tell anybody nothing happened. I don't want people to think I'm a tease. So
I don't want to get a reputation as somebody who doesn't fuck when they pass out.
Exactly. And so she says, don't tell anybody we didn't do anything. And I said, okay. Now the problem was she wound up dating my best friend, who now thinks that I fucked his girlfriend before she was 2 weeks before she was his girlfriend.
And this is why I'm a negative person. This is why, right here. This put the thumb on the whatever it is, the finger on the whatever. It's not. Yeah.
I had another girl pass again, get drunk, pass out, and I didn't touch her. I didn't do anything with her. I just tucked her in and tucked her in the bed. And I went to sleep on the sofa. She slept in my bed, and I went in. I brought her some breakfast or something, to toast or something for her stomach. I knew how much we had to drink. I got up, I fixed her something, I brought it into the bedroom. And so I sat on the bed next to her, and she wakes up and she thinks that something has happened. And I said, nothing happened. And she started crying. She goes, why wasn't I pretty enough? And I'm like, no. I said, no. I said, you're gorgeous.
Now you see some of the dogs I fuck. Oh, I have no standards. Are you kidding me? Pretty enough? That doesn't even.
I said, no, you're gorgeous. I said, no, you're gorgeous. I said, you're absolutely gorgeous. You just couldn't consent. And I didn't. So I got and same thing with her. She was like, well, don't tell anybody I passed out like that. So yeah. I had a reputation of being a player in situations I hadn't deserved it because again, I didn't talk about those things.
Yeah. There was a time, it's not that long ago, probably about 10 years ago, came home from a gig, and it was a late night gig. Got home like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know, I was feeling a little, I'm feeling it a little bit. And my wife was a little bit asleep, and I kind of rolled her over, started making out with her, and the best sex that we've ever had. And then in the morning, I said, "Man, that was amazing last night." She said, "Like, what happened?" She go, "I took a couple of Ambien." Oh wow, she was wild. She was a wild woman. She was uninhibited, as they say. So, but it was, to me, it was the best we've ever had. And I was like, wow, and you don't even remember it. That's fucking beautiful.
See, and that's the other thing. I was at a bar, and this tall, she was about 6'2", tall, blonde, really attractive woman, and she was hitting on me. My friend, who he was like hitting on her. She was like ignoring him and focusing on me. And he goes, "Man, she's really into you. You got to take her home." And so I'm thinking, okay. And then we're talking, and I realized that she's really inebriated. And so she goes, "You gonna take me home?" I said, "No." I said, no, I can't. I said, "I'll drive you home, but nothing's going to happen." She goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because you're inebriated." And I said, "And you're not going to remember me, and I want to be remembered." and she says, her response was, "Well, that depends on how well you me." Okay.
Whoa.
So, and then when she said that, she smiled. And when she smiled, I saw that this tall woman, this 6'1" blonde model-looking woman, had little tiny rat teeth, and that spooked me. And I was like, "No!" I was like, "Oh, not enough teeth for all that woman." And it freaked me out. Like, to this day, when I see that smile,
it's freaking me out right now. Thank you.
That woman has so little teeth. I was like, she outgrew her teeth.
You know what? Stop. Because we have a guest in the green room who's going to hear this and say, "I'm out. I'm out."
Right now, David's having a flash because, no, I've dated women that should have stopped growing at 5'4", but they grew to 6 foot and their teeth didn't.
Wow. I'm gonna read an intro for the guest.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna write down something.
You know what? I need my glasses. It's not my glasses. It's the eyes. I really need to wipe my eyes.
If you had like little windshield wipers, like,
yeah, that's what I need. Yeah, that didn't help at all. It's the eyes. John David is a longtime public relations and crisis communications consultant, so he should be used to this kind of nonsense. Crisis consult, because we have a crisis here, moment by moment. We need a consultant on our crises.
He's already taking notes. He's already taking notes.
Author of nonfiction, business books, and corporate ghostwriter, which is different than just a regular ghostwriter. he's an LLC ghostwriter. I don't know what that means.
My friends know the ghostwriter.
Yeah, he's now a nonfiction writer. His latest novel is called The Bystander. He's here now. Let's welcome him into the program. Good morning, John David.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm surprised you didn't run away with that conversation that was going on. We have had guests run away for dopey conversation.
For less.
It sounded more like Barstool rather than Coffee Clatch, but that's fine. Fine, I can do both.
All right. Very, very cool. Thanks for being here. Let me pull up the book. Now, tell me about how, because I'm a big fan of nonfiction. I read nonfiction mostly. How you go from being a nonfiction writer? Did you always, like, while you were writing nonfiction, you said, "I really want to be a novelist. I want to write fiction"?
It's not precisely. It's kind of a sort of adjacent, I guess. So when I was, I used to read a lot of fiction when I was younger. Before I got married. I wasn't like a book a week guy, but I was probably a couple of books a month reader, and I read lots of thrillers and mystery novels and things like that. And then I got married and I had kids, and something's got to give, right? When you in your time, your time is less of your own. And so my golf game went in the toilet, and I didn't read as many novels. And I read more nonfiction. When I was on vacation, I'd read nonfiction stuff. And then I wrote a business book back in 2016, which was largely based on topics that I had blogged about. And then my kids went to college, and my wife and I became empty nesters, and I had a little bit more time on my hands, and I started to read more fiction again, a lot more more mystery novels, thriller novels, stuff like that. And then one day I just kind of had a bit of lightning bolt of inspiration, and I started writing the book that became The Bystander.
All right. Now, The Bystander, have you ever, they say write about what you know. Have you ever been a television reporter in your career?
No, so I haven't. That's a really good point. I've been a public relations consultant for 30 years, and so I know hundreds, perhaps thousands of reporters, and I deal with television reporters all the time. And so I know a lot about the industry, and so whatever, just enough to be dangerous, or however you want to say it. And so I felt that was a natural idea for me, was to have my protagonist be a television reporter.
Yeah. All right. And, makes sense that you would probably have some exposure to that world, being in public relations, crisis communication type of work. You would probably be exposed to some of those people who need your services, right? Or am I just guessing it wrong?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you come across, I've come across some really interesting situations during my career, just kind of crazy things that happen. And so you end up on, when you do crisis communications, you're on one side of the fence. So you're representing your client. You're trying to, maybe, minimize the impact of a story, or you're trying to, improve the angle of the story, or you're trying to kill it. And, on the other side, the journalists, they're trying to find out what's the truth, And so I've seen a lot of interesting stories kind of from one side, but then at the same time, oftentimes you later, go debrief with the reporters, sometime in the past, and you kind of get some insight into how these things came together.
Yeah. I'm always, because to me, picking a name for the protagonist would be a difficult thing for me if I were writing fiction. The name of the protagonist in this book is Pete Lemaster, and I was like, damn, that sounds just like made for Hollywood. Like, there's got to be somebody. Is this? Is that a difficult thing? Like, how do I choose the name of my protagonist?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I had. I had a sort of a place setter or whatever, placeholder for the protagonist's name, and I was using different ones. I wasn't like workshopping it hard or anything, but I had, there was, and it's a great question. The first time anybody's actually asked me that question. Give me half a sec here.
To me,
but the thing is that I had I was using that name, or a variant of that name was actually like one of the other characters, and then I flipped him around. I flipped him around because I realized I thought that was a stronger name for the protagonist, and that's why I stuck with it.
It's people probably they hear me asking that question, they're like, it probably sounds like a dopey question, but I would wrestle with that. Like, it sounds too made up. It's it's like one little word in a whole book that would stop me from writing the book. Two words actually.
Yeah, I create new characters all the time. So I'm actually on my third book. The second book in the series has already been written. It comes out in May, and I'm working on the third book, and I have to create characters. And so I come up with names, and a lot of times they're sitting there, and then it's not until the end that I kind of go back and I might change a name. So sometimes I have a problem with the name that's in my head that I've been using and picturing with this character, is now I'm changing it. So it's a strange thing. But those are my calls, which is nice. I don't have anybody telling me, oh, we don't like the name of your character or whatever. It doesn't sound real enough. I haven't had any issues like that, thankfully.
Now, I have a question about the name, because this is a while ago I used to write sketch comedy for a podcast. And every week I had to think of like maybe 10, 15 characters' names for different sketches constantly, and it was just I never got the privilege of creating a character that I could use over and over and over and over and over again. Like you could do like the bystander 2, the bystander 4, and Pete, as long as he's alive, could be like this great character. Now, by chance, did you like look through SAG to see if there's an actor or somebody using that name? Just
that's what it sounds like. Peter Lemaster.
Yeah, I did not. I mean, I just grabbed a name and it's one of those things. I just started writing this book. Like I had an idea to start writing it, and I did it, and I'd never written a novel before. So a lot of those questions are just, I never had that question. I'm plowing through with ignorance or whatever. I probably did Google it at some point in time just to make sure that it wasn't, pedophile somewhere,
yeah, that and see it. Yeah,
he's in the Epstein files.
Yeah, but I mean, or you don't want it, but for the, there's it just, it never really came up like that, and I'm sure I did check it because I did, and there were issues where there was other character names which were sort of too similar to other things, which I didn't want to do. So, but I mean, listen, if you're writing names for sketch comedy, right? Isn't the name half the time the sketch, right? Like, genre, right? Half the time coming up the name is the sketch.
Yeah.
Now, one time I actually came up with a name that was totally ridiculous, and the guy goes, one of the actors says, "I know somebody with this name." And I said, "There's no way, no fucking way." And I go, no. I said, they said, "No, it's a real name." It's
sure.
And so they showed me, and I went, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." They said,
I mean, listen, I wrote a book about online reputation issues, and the thing is that there was an issue. I had a guy reach out to me, law firm, and the guy's name was he had the same name as a guy who was like an infamous Facebook figure, and this guy on Facebook and I don't know what condition he was in, but he actually was like flirting with girls on Facebook, and he ended up somehow mind-bogglingly hit on his own daughter on Facebook. And it came out, and it was like, all over the news. And so I represented a law firm, and one of the lawyers had the same name as this guy. And so they were like, we came up with a strategy to try to make sure that that nobody thought it was the same guy. Anybody who knew him, knew it wasn't the same guy, but it was one of those things that the first thing that shows up in your Google search is some weird, funky story.
There's got to be a dozen Jeff Epsteins in the United States.
Yeah, right. And they're now going by like J. Michael Epstein, or they're going by.
There was
Juan Epstein.
There was a coach. There was a coach, in the Penn State coach, the one that was molesting the guys in the shower. Was it Sandusky?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I live in the Baltimore area. One of our news anchors' name is the same name, but he spells Sandusky differently.
Yeah.
But it's the same first name, same last name. It's just spelled differently. It's still Sandusky. And
one of my
go ahead.
Yeah. One of my best friends from college, guy was at my wedding. His name's Steve Irwin. And he was, the whole time, his whole life, he was just Steve Irwin. He was, and then all of a sudden he's the crocodile hunter. You guys.
Well, but that job is available now.
Yeah. Oh.
Step away. Sorry, my dog is like losing his mind, and I'm trying to not to
well, TD puts the TV on for his cat. Maybe you want to try that.
Well, yeah, my cat can't see if my wife is not home, because my wife teleworks and she has to go into the office 2 days a week. So the days that she goes into the office, my cat feels lonely because my wife isn't in the office. So my cat, those 2 days, I turn the television on for my cat. But yes.
Okay,
but it's a slightly low volume. And so, but the days I don't, and the reason why I know it works is the day I forget to do it, she comes to get me.
Right. Well, because he wants to watch Sports Center.
Well, yeah, right. Well, I don't let her watch Sports Center. That's because she's not I don't want her to get a complex because she's not a very active
She's not an athletic cat, so
no, not at all.
So maybe you got to put the Housewives on for that cat.
Well, I put the news on for her, but I put the news on, but it has to be like a reputable news person, someone I trust, because I don't want her repeating things that aren't true. You wouldn't believe what I heard today. No, it's
we were
not
talking
true.
about a cat. Are we still talking about a cat?
Yeah, I was talking about my cat. Look, my wife swears that my cat has thought bubbles, and basically, I know that my cat's conversations are an extension of my wife's conversation with me. I know that.
Inner dialogue. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And somewhere in your extended bio, I wrote that you love to get, you enjoy talking politics. And I'm wondering, because the book kind of brings up the issue of the Second Amendment, or so it's basically for people who are interested in Second Amendment talk. Did you set out with that idea in mind when you sat down to write the book? Like, I want to highlight the Second Amendment and encourage discussion around that, or just it's coincidental part of
it's a sort of a complicated answer. The answer is sort of yes and no. So the first thing is there were two things that happened that really impacted me when I came with the idea to write this book. The first one was a very pedestrian thing. I was having a barbecue at my house, and as most of the time parties in my house end up, I'm standing in my kitchen with my brother and my brother-in-law. And my brother and my brother-in-law, they're both veterans. They're both gun guys. And we were having a conversation, and I'm not a gun guy. Listen, the Second Amendment, it is what it is. It's in the Constitution. We have the right to bear arms. The ship has sailed, right? But I'm having a conversation with them about gun rights. And, if you guys have, whatever, siblings or brothers or brothers-in-law, the conversation was them explaining to me how I was wrong, right? How everything that I was talking about, that there was no validity to anything that I had to say, right? But we had this very interesting conversation about gun rights, and I'm like I said, I believe in the right to bear arms. I think there's a line somewhere, and that line has been drawn already. And I always tell people, I said, listen, can I go buy? I can buy a handgun, I get it. I can go buy a shotgun. I get it. Can I go buy a shoulder-launched missile that can shoot down an airplane?
Well,
and they're like, no, you can't. And I go, okay, so there's a line, right? So somewhere there's a line. Now it's somewhere between assault rifle and shoulder-launched missile, right? So anyway, there's a line. And so I have this conversation. So I had this spirited conversation talking about gun rights and all these things and the gun show loophole and all this other stuff. And then a really amazing thing, crazy thing happened in July. It was July of 2022. A guy went into, this is a true story, a guy went into a mall in Indiana with an assault rifle and started shooting. And he killed 3 people. But there was a young man at the food court in the mall in Indiana. His name is Eli Dickin. And Eli Dickin was carrying his handgun. He's a concealed carry guy. He took out his gun. He's an expert marksman, and he shot and he killed the active shooter. And first things first, Eli Dickin is a hero. We throw this word around about that he saved people's lives. He probably saved his own. He probably saved other people's lives that day. He's a real hero. We throw that word around a lot. You're a hero. The gravy wasn't lumpy at Thanksgiving. You're a hero, right? No, this guy's a real hero, right?
That's pretty extreme.
So number one, right? So that's the first thing. But it got me, and I thought that story was fascinating, and I read everything I could find about it, and it was, on one side of a story like that, you have people saying, you see, this is why we have to have our guns, right?
Right.
And then on the other side, you have people who would say, but is this the way it's really supposed to be? It's kind of Wild West, right? I mean, should we have to have a gun when we go to the mall? I mean, I want to go buy sneakers. Do I need to have a gun? I'm going to go get a Cinnabon. Do I need to be packing to go get a cinnamon roll? And so all those things sort of like, so that's really what inspired the book. That inciting incident is what inspired the book, and the rest is fiction. When it comes to the politics of it, I touch on those because it's interesting and because there's really no right answer at the moment.
I think there is.
The right answer is if you think you need a gun, you're afraid of something. So stop being find out why you're afraid.
Not necessarily, but
so listen. So if you were in my kitchen with my brother-in-law, he would say, "Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to think."
Yeah, and I wouldn't say, and I wouldn't say, I'm not telling you how to think. I'm just telling you you're afraid.
Right. Well, don't tell me I'm afraid. I want to have my gun. My gun makes me feel less afraid.
Yeah. The Second Amendment never says the word gun, and this is my issue. And I definitely feel with your issues with your brother-in-law, your brother, whatever. I've tried to bring this conversation up. The Second Amendment needs to be rewritten because it doesn't say anything about guns. If it said things, and I'd start the conversation by saying, I don't want a gun grab. I don't want to take anybody's guns away. But let's be honest here. Anthrax is a arm. And, a biological weapon is an arm. Cyber weapons are arms. You don't want the people who live next door to you, the hippies who live next door to you, who are also selling PCP and cocaine and all this kind of stuff, and they happen to have an anthrax lab. You don't want them to have free reign to that. So we need that, because you bring it up, the missiles, nuclear weapons, and all these things are arms. You can't just have it vague arms. What does arms mean? And then when you say that, you get into this argument with people who just love their guns. Why are you trying to take my guns away? We started by saying, I'm not going to try and take your guns away.
Sure. I mean, that's part of it. And there's and I talk about a little bit about this in my book, because I have a sort of a conversation where my main character gets a bit of an education on these issues. And really what happens is, fascinatingly, like you're saying, is, there's a mass shooter event. And what ends up happening is people go start buying guns and ammunition because they're afraid that because there was a mass shooter incident, someone's going to take their guns. So they want to have more. Right. And so now what's the end game? More guns. And so, and it's just this kind of fun, interesting circle. And again, I'm not taking a side. It's just, I'm just kind of pointing it out more than anything else. Yeah. That it's that's what's happening. And it's, it makes for an interesting, part of a backdrop for ultimately a work of fiction, a novel that's work of fiction that's supposed to be entertaining.
I maintain that people with guns are afraid of something. And I'm a humorist, so I'll perform on stage, and this is one of my premises, that if you have a gun, you're afraid. And inevitably one guy goes, I used the gun to hunt. And I go, okay, then you're afraid to approach that animal with your bare hands, whatever it is, because you need that gun. I said, believe me, I understand.
But you would agree that's a legitimate fear, especially if we're talking grizzly bear or something, right?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, I come from a people who used to hunt lions and elephants with sticks and stones and blow darts. Okay, they did not have guns, and if they did not bring down an elephant, they were going to starve. Okay,
blow darts count as arms.
But that's what I'm saying. But they didn't have guns. That's what I'm saying. So if you have a gun, you're afraid that a blow dart isn't going to protect you enough. You got to have a gun.
Sure. Listen, so I guess I should just say mission accomplished, right? I brought up a topic and people like to talk about it.
Definitely. That's why I'm saying you got to buy the book. But there's also more than just that topic, because the issue of journalistic integrity and part of this book, and I don't want to give away the story here. You got to buy the book. This is our motto on this. You got to buy the book. And this book has a couple of good things. First of all, it's going to get you thinking about the Second Amendment and what you really believe about it. But then this issue of journalistic integrity, and sometimes we think, journalists are inventing stuff, and there are other times when journalists run with a story and then later on re-examine it, and they're not sure they got it right, and that's kind of the story here a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a whole, when somebody asks me, like, well, tell me what your book's about, right? And like, give me the quick description, and I say I usually describe it as, Television reporter is filming a kind of a simple job. He's covering pregame for a weekend football game, the night before. So he's at a party, and all of a sudden a guy comes into this retail center. He's got an assault rifle. The reporter, he turns his camera around and he films this incident where the active shooter is killed by an armed bystander. The video goes viral, but everything is not as it seems. And that's kind of my intro. And the point of it is that the reporter, runs and jumps on this and goes, and the world goes, right? Everyone starts to get their own opinion of what they saw. But is what they saw, what they sort of, the assumptions they make from the video, are they all true, right? And that's where the story really starts to build.
Such a really compelling idea for a story, because it's so true, and it holds up a mirror to where we are in society. Is we make snap judgments off of 30-second videos, TikTok videos, and Instagram videos on what we believe happened. And the question: do you think that accidental? Because I feel like we don't know where to trust in journalism anymore. Do you feel like that accidental got the story wrong is more prevalent than we are, because we assume like evil, like, oh, you invented that, you're just trying to manipulate us? Do you think that accidental?
It's I mean, the thing that's the scary part. There's a couple of really scary parts. So the first thing is that journalists forever have made mistakes, right? They just they just generally don't like, admitting them, right? Yeah. There's this whole, like, the what was the daily newspaper in my community, they I would have clients call me and they'd say they wrote the wrong thing about us, and we want a correction. And they would never, the paper, even if you sort of had them right, you sort of had it wrong, they would call it a clarification. Like they wouldn't even call it a correction. There are other newspapers would say, yeah, it's a correction. We made a mistake. Our bad. We're moving on. Right. But now we have issues where there are folks who don't really, so part of my background, I went to journalism school. So I have a degree in public relations. I went to journalism school. And so I as a PR consultant, I know the rules of engagement that journalists are supposed to follow. And so much of that is like gone out the window with, citizen journalists and, bloggers and podcasters, no offense, that are not following that are sort of presenting stuff as news, but they're not really following the code, right? That we learn in journalism school. And then there's folks who do things maliciously on purpose just to get ratings. We know who all those guys are. I'm not going to bring that up. And then the last part, that's even the scary part, is all the AI deep fake, stuff that can really, really confuse you, because to your eye, it looks real, it looks real. And a friend of mine has been doing these little AI videos, and they're all super over the top, and they're very funny and amusing and everything, but they're not real. And I think part of it is he's trying to show what you can do with this, right? You can do stuff that's just, way more complicated than this, but like, here I am in a fighter plane. Here I am, on Mount Everest. Those type of things are not to be true. But you make these subtle changes, and that it's really kind of scary.
It is. We are living in George Orwell's worst nightmare. But you make, because you say they're so far over the top that people know they're not real. I find you will find that there's a certain percentage, I don't know how big that percentage is, that you would be surprised at how little they get. That you see grandma with a Bengal tiger on her lap and she's petting it, and oh wow, I can't believe.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree with you. No, I think what I was saying is a friend of mine is making these videos, I think primarily so that because he wants to make them for other people, and his are clearly like farcical, and you can see that they are farcical. But there are people who, but of course the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to make the one that you're going to make the one that looks real, that makes people think. Again, it's like War of the Worlds, right? It's the same. that's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time before that AI war of the worlds happens.
I know. Just within a matter of like a year, it probably not even a whole year. My wife would see a video and she'd show it to me. She says, "Is this real?" And I could, in the beginning, in a couple of seconds, I could say, "No, that's fake," and I could show her why it's fake. I said, "Look at this." I said, "The sun's over there, but the shadow's over here." Blah blah.
Right.
This or look at the gate or whatever it is. And just a couple of seconds, I could say. And now it's taking me longer. I have to stare and go like I have to and really sometimes I'm staring like up to like a minute and a half before I can tell her if something's fake or not. And she'll go, "Is that real?" And I'll go, "Actually, no." She goes, "How do you know?" I said, "Well, the motion. When you're falling, there's not like you don't fall at two rates of speed. You fall at one rate of speed. So this person's falling and then they sped up and slowed down. So that's
the other thing that tips it off is the length of the length right now. The length of the videos are very limited because of the computing power that you need to do it. So there are these huge, massive files at the moment. So somebody shows you something that's like, if it's a minute and a half long and it's a continuous video, it's probably real. But if it's like 17 seconds and it looks like, and all of a sudden your neighbor is your neighbor's on the roof with a flamethrower, you probably know it's probably fake.
I want to, this is going to sound like blowing smoke because you're a guest on the program. I'm very sincere in this. Congratulations on using reality to come up with an original idea, because we talk so much about how there are plenty of new ideas if you really put your mind to it and use your creativity, but people are going back to so many stock things, and Hollywood is just stuck on remakes and really animated stuff with no real good storyline on it. This is a compelling storyline that reality is the inspiration for a lot of this very interesting storyline. So congratulations on that, because people have given up on originality. I think what you've come up with here is a very original premise for a book. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Now,
I can't give you the same compliment because I think you stole my idea for the book before I got the chance to write mine. But that's okay.
Well, that's because you gave him a Quaalude. Oh no, that was what we were talking about before. Have you? Because it seems like this would make a really. I could see Tom Cruise. I mean, but being the reporter or whatever. So this for making it into a movie, a screenplay, anything. Have you put out any feelers for that? Because it seems like. Listen, they might say, "Well, that's too good an idea. I want to make another Marvel movie." But to me, it's a movie I'm looking for.
I've very fortunate that sort of a close friend of mine has, it's actually a lady I used to work with. Her daughter works for one of the big, agencies in California, and she's read my stuff. And so she's looked at it, and I think somebody at one of the big, they took a peek at it, but that was it. I mean, I think it's such a, it's incredibly flattering just for someone to even say what you're saying. I've had fortunate. I've gotten reviews that folks have said my book's cinematic or reads like a movie, which is great. I didn't really set out to do that. So I've had a couple of people talk to me about it a little bit, but nothing beyond the fantastical.
Because it's too good. This is the problem. I think it's too good. And you know what? It's a risk as far in their minds. Does anybody care about story anymore? We just need, 3D animation and all this stuff. And we know what is going to cash in, just the next Pokemon, whatever nonsense. But so, it's that I'm sure a lot of them would see what I see in the originality and the storyline being very compelling. But then, but how we know we're going to make our money back? Can't we just make another Spider-Man movie? There's that to it. So,
yeah, I was having a conversation pretty recently with a young guy who's I guess he's in the video industry, and he's got a lot of friends who are in the film who are trying to break into the film industry and like writing screenplays and stuff like that. I think that's an incredibly difficult world to get through. I mean, it's quite a slog to get a book published. With a traditional publisher, to be quite honest with you, it's a lot of work. But if you look at I'm not sure if you guys are like Broadway guys, but you look at how few new things are on Broadway. There's always a remake of this, a remake of that.
Oh,
And there's just, it's a risk averse group, you know.
Yes.
And if so, imagine if you're, you know, you grew up and your dream was to, you know, write a musical, right? I mean, you know, unless you're Lin-Manuel Miranda talented, you know, you're not going anywhere. And there's a reason why there's only one of him.
Yeah.
You know,
well, and also he had classmates. A lot of his classmates are famous as well. You know, he had like 2 or 3 classmates that are like actually famous people.
Right.
When you like are raised in that kind of neighborhood where, you know, somebody gets it out and they remember, hey, I work with this guy who is really, really talented in high school. If he's still sober, let's give him a call. You know, I'm just saying. You don't know. You think of people in high school who were really talented, and you go like, I'm gonna call them up. It's like, oh man, time has not been good to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So for people who are just tuning in, we're talking about The Bystander, a novel, The LeMaster Files, Book 1, and that's what I want to talk about. Book 1. I think you've already mentioned that Book 2 is coming out in May. Do you plan like do you have the series worked out before you start writing Book 1, or does it evolve? You finish writing Book 1 and then you say, where do we go from here and start on Book 2? And do you know how many books will be in the series eventually?
So there's a couple of questions in there. So the first thing is I wrote this book and I pitched it as a standalone with series potential. You know, that's how I originally wrote it. My publisher, my publishing company is a company called Thule. They have a mystery imprint. They're based in California, and they work on the series model. And so they said, we like your book, we really like a series, we'd like you to write a series. And they said, you know, can you do, you know, I was like, okay, how many's in a series? And they were like, well, we've signed people to 5-book series, 3-book series. So well, let's try 3. Because I had an idea for a follow-up already. And I was like, okay, if I got a really idea for a follow-up, then I can probably come up with a 3rd one. And so that's sort of how how that came to pass. The second idea, the idea for the second book came while I was pitching the first book, and it was primarily came from the fact that I'd been writing when I was pushing to the finish line to finish the manuscript that became The Bystander. I was writing every day, pretty religiously, and I was just kind of like using that muscle. And then I stopped using that muscle, and I was like, I kind of missed using the muscle, and so I started writing again, and with a different premise. And so then I wrote the second book. The second book was actually completed in March. So the first book didn't come out till 3 months ago, but the second book was finished almost a year ago. Wow. And so now I'm actually working on the 3rd book, and I don't know, about a third of the way through the 3rd book.
Do you think about the marketing part of it? Because I understand you want to create this, you can't put it down and you're waiting for the next book. And that's why series are so popular. But for me, I see Book 1 and I think, oh, this is a commitment now. I can't just read this one book. I know I'm going to be stuck into a series now. And it's just different people. Do you think about that when you're doing this, or that's just you?
I mean, I think about the marketing of it. I mean, because I'm my career, I've been a publicist my whole career, so I'm a marketing oriented person. So I'm always thinking about marketing the book, and it's actually, I think I underestimated the amount of time I was going to spend marketing the first book, because it slowed my writing process a little bit for my creative process. I mean, there's certainly something to being able to have a second book, and it's very flattering because I've had, people tell me, they read the first one, they go, oh, yeah, I already ordered the second one. And so like, that's really, really flattering. And I get the marketing, that's a marketing strategy. I'm loosely, worked on the overall story arc of my main character, but it's not, I'm not a huge outliner like that. I'm more of a seat of the pants writer.
That's because I talked to a lot of authors, and obviously a lot of them have series out now, and some of them, like the lady we had on Monday, I believe she's got like 9 books worked out before she started writing the first one. Like, how do
That's
you
amazing.
yeah, how do you think
Yeah.
that far in advance? Like with any creative thing I do, it's like just start with the idea and then work through it. And I can't understand that whole plotter mentality of I got to have all my ducks in a row before I even get started here. For me, it's just completely an alien creative process.
I think there's
Matt
a couple
doesn't even have a whole duck. He just has to have the bill, and he just starts to. I got the bill. I'll worry about the rest of the duck later.
No, the bill comes last.
That's funny. So I think there's a couple of things. There's a couple of practical things to this. So if you're a writer and you've got built a following and you're doing this full time, see, I have a regular job, so I'm still working, PR crisis communication consultant. So this is like my side gig. I'm hoping to get it to, be a bigger part of my, income. But if you're an established writer, what you want to do is, so for example, there's a guy named Anthony Horowitz. I don't know if you know him. His books came out. He's written a lot of stuff, but book called The Marble Hall Murders came out this past year, and Magpie Murders. They're series on PBS now, and he's super incredibly talented, more talent in his pinky than I have my whole body. But he's
How tall are you? How tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
I just want to get wow, damn! I just want to get perspective. So
anyway, he's so 6'2". That's how talented he is. My 6'2" frame, my pinky. But anyway, he has another series. I think there's 4 books out, and they're all really good. And he said, I'm going to write 9. He's got 4 in one series. He says there's 9 books coming in the future. And from a practical matter, if you're basically running this like a business, that's how you want to do it. You want to have a deal in place with a publisher that says for the next 4 years, I'm going to give you a book every 6 months, and that's how I'm going to make my living, So the series, that's how the series helps authors, because it helps them have this sort of, continuity, because I think it's a pretty rare breed of the authors who just write these like standalones, and they can write they write one book a year, John Grisham, Colleen Hoover, and I'm not to say that they maybe they do write more than one a year, but that's pretty much all they have to do is write one book a year, and sometimes that's what their publishing companies want them to do. They want to publicize. They want to push one book a year really hard, make a lot of money, and then do the next one.
Yeah.
And also in the case of like Grisham and a few rare other ones, they can write one book, and the next, and it becomes, I'm trying to think, I think is the guy who wrote the Da Vinci Code. Is that Brown? Dan Brown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan Brown.
He writes a book, it becomes a movie. Any other book that he writes after that, they're going to look at it and say, is this a movie as well? Grisham.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you get into that. Yeah, you realize, John Grisham wrote The Firm, which then became a movie, and then he wrote The Pelican Brief, which became a movie, and then they rediscovered his first book, A Time to Kill, which became a movie. Right. And then now I can't even count them all. And he's, I don't know. I mean, they haven't made as many of his books recently into movies, but it was the same thing. It was like they were. Hollywood was falling all over itself to
Stephen King. Stephen King is another one. They're to the point where they're like, no more books. Does he have like any scribblings on a napkin that we can? And
That's right.
Does he have any toilet paper? Let's look at that smudge. Is that an ink blot? Okay,
eventually, what you're getting at, in my opinion, is you're getting at is eventually they start to become a brand, right?
Yeah.
That's where it's like, from executive producer Steven Spielberg. We've all fallen for that one, right?
Yeah.
and the same, they put their name on it or whatever, and it's the same. But what they're doing is, Stephen King is putting his name on, on different projects and things. The way that whatever, Patrick Mahomes puts his name on toothpaste or car insurance.
Right. Now, I have a question for you about this book and also future books. When you wrote this book, is there do you hear music with it? And if so, who's the composer?
It's a really good question, and the answer is I don't hear music.
Oh, okay.
I'm not that's not how I mean, it's just not how my brain works. I just don't I mainly just see um I usually kind of play out the conversations in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and work through it and try to, I usually kind of go a couple of steps ahead and then go back and start to rewrite, and that's how I do it. But but there's no I'm not blessed with any musical musical genes.
You don't hear a college football team music rah-rah stuff at the tailgate party as you're writing that. Are you in Jacksonville?
No, I'm actually in Miami.
Oh, because I just thought this was anticipation of you being on the program, because it says also in your long form bio there that you're a sports fan and there's college football element in the book. Somebody said, "Go Jags." I'm a Jacksonville Jags fan over in the chat room, and I thought they were here anticipating you.
My book is actually set. My book's set in Jacksonville.
All right.
Because it's set. The opening incident, I had it happen before the Florida-Georgia football game. And I'm a big University of Florida guy, so I'm a Florida Gator. And and I sorry.
So maybe this person is here.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's part of it, and so that was the setting, and I know that, I know that world. Like I know, I'm just I know way more about college football than I really need to know, and all that stuff.
But you live like right down the street from Miami. Well, not, I shouldn't put in such, but you're like a stone's throw away from Miami. Why not a Hurricanes fan?
I'm just gonna be polite because they suck. I don't know. Actually, no. So there are a sworn enemy from Miami, but I went to the University of Florida in Gainesville.
Yeah,
and so they don't suck. They actually have a really good team this year, and they beat the crap out of us. And so I'm enduring the rise of my University of Miami Hurricanes. But they're like they're one of our big rivals, to the University of Florida.
Now,
are you originally from Florida?
I was born in Western New York. I was born in Buffalo, New York. Moved to Miami when I was 10.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think it's
was that a career opportunity?
Like everybody in Florida is a New Yorker.
It was a career opportunity for my father. I was 10 years old.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. Yes, I didn't know if it was like an opportunity for you to get like a new career or something at age 10. It's like, Dad, this is not working out for me.
No, it was. Anything. My burgeoning hockey career got cut short. Quite honestly.
Ooh.
So,
but in Florida, you'd be like the best hockey player at that stage. I don't know what you are now.
The problem is the ice melted. Problem is there were no rinks. That was the problem. There were no rinks.
Pretty soon that's going to be the case in Buffalo too. I mean, not a whole other political issue here, but this whole climate change stuff. We are freaking out because there's a little bit of sliver of ice in the Great South Bay here. And when I grew up, you could drive a semi on the ice every winter. And like now we're like acting like, wow, look, there's a sliver of ice. Like, yeah, that's not the
Where
way
are you guys?
I'm in Long Island, New York.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in Westminster, Maryland, the comedy hub of the universe.
Yeah.
Now you being in where you are in Florida, how much time do you have before the ocean is actually at your front yard? Because you're in what was it?
Hopefully plenty. I probably will
by the end of the show
be out of my. Yeah, that's right. What time is it? It was interesting. The little village I live in, about 10 years ago, they had this thing where they had an artist, and he created these images of numbers, and they decided to paint these numbers on like street intersections, and they were actually the sea level height. And so all of a sudden they drew a big 7 in the middle of a street down, a half a mile from my house. And all the
is that 7 feet or 7 inches?
7 feet, right? Yeah, okay. 7 feet. I'm at probably 12 or something like that, 13 feet, something like that. But everybody in the community was like, "Are you crazy?" It's like, why would you sit there and tell the world that our average sea level is 9 feet? Like no one's going to want to buy a house here because they think it's 9 feet. Yeah, I mean it's I'm not that worried. I'm not in a flood zone. I'm not really worried about sea level rise, but I'm also, it's probably not my long-term plan to live in South Florida. So
I think that's
I always
brilliant.
want to move to Isla Mirada.
Isla Mirada is beautiful. Love it there. Game fishing capital of the world.
To me, it's paradise. And I've been telling my wife I wanted to move there for the last 18 years, and I'm not allowed.
You need to buy
a
house on stilts that can withstand 180 mile an hour winds, and then you're good.
Yeah, but my grandson first has to graduate high school, then he has to graduate college, then he has to get married, then he has to have kids, then he has to die of old age before I'm allowed to move. So
well, as they say, that's like that's I used to have jokes with people. I'd say, well, they would say, well, why are you doing that? I said, well, are you a married man or not? Do you understand? I mean, if you're married, you get it. You get it.
Yeah.
If you're married, you understand. That's how the world is.
My wife, the other day, we were watching something on television. My wife looked at me. She goes, "Are you happy?" And I said, "Are you happy?" I said, "If you're happy, I'm happy."
I'm gonna hold that against you later on, because we brought that up the other day. Social proof before you do anything, before you commit. Audiobook, because I want to come back to this whole marketing thing for a second, if we could, and then we'll let you go. But for authors, because I think it was a trend, at least during the COVID thing, it seemed to be a trend where they released the audiobook before the book because people are more likely to listen and, while they work or whatever. With that, did you strategize that, or it's just like a necessary thing after the book comes out? How did you approach the audiobook part?
It's honestly, the audiobook was a big challenge, and primarily my publisher was marketing the audiobook rights, and so I didn't have any control over that. And they were working really hard to try to get an audio deal for me. Not every book is an audiobook. You have to, the audiobook people have to want it.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
So yeah, I mean, you can do your own, but I mean, that's and you guys have great radio voices, so maybe you could do it. But I couldn't.
I have a good radio voice, but I have terrible radio enunciation.
You got a face for radio.
So anyway, so for me, I pushed them very hard on that. I wanted to get an audiobook deal, and that deal was like inked before my book came out, but it's not. Tantor Audio, if you listen to audiobooks, you've heard of them. They bought my book, the audio rights to my book, and they bought all three in the series that are slated so far. And the first one comes out in April. So the Bystander will be on audio in April. And then I think the second book in the series comes out in May. And I believe that the audiobook will come out concurrently with the second book, but I don't have any control or any say over how that works.
Yeah, I'm fascinated.
They did give me let me listen to some of the narrator choices, and I gave some recommendations on that. So they were very kind to me in that regard.
I'm fascinated about marketing and publishing. I worked as a contract person for a publishing company for a short period of time and learned some of the really ugly, dirty tricks that go on in the publishing business and how you approach it and now and all this kind of stuff. But particularly as it relates to your book, because it's a story that I think appeals to men because of the Second Amendment issue, because college football, whatever. There's a lot of stuff that appeals to men, but men are reading less and less and less.
Yeah, men don't read, right?
Yeah. So does that come into? You're writing a story that really is like one of the few, because there's plenty of women books that have romance novels and fantasy ghosts and all that stuff. You're writing one of the few stories that I've come across in the last year or so that really appeal to men, but men don't read, and they are likely to go to. Or does any of that come into your thinking when you're writing the book? Like, I want to make it more appealing to women, or because they're the ones who are reading?
I think there's a couple of ways to sort of answer that. I mean, the first thing is I wrote this book and I had no idea any of those issues. So when I wrote this book, I had no thoughts of that whatsoever. I did know, I mean, listen, I have a 25-year-old daughter, soon to be 26-year-old daughter. And so, I mean, I was very much thinking about my book that I want to make sure that my book was available to the female audience, right? To women, to women readers, because you learn that women are make up the bulk of the fiction reading world. And you don't want to write something that, women are going to find, detestable in some way or another. And there's certain things, that you certainly don't want to cover. I mean, there's, particularly if when you start looking at agents and they'll say, listen, I don't want to have anything to do with, I don't want any misogyny. I don't want any, clear. I don't want any issues that deal with rape or incest or all these crazy issues. For me, I just want to write something that was, controversial is okay, but not kind of crazy controversial, not trying to rile anybody up, in that sense, play down the middle of the politics. And I probably thinking a little bit more, and moving ahead of understanding the audience, but, in the parlance, I wrote a boy book. Basically, it's a book that really that probably appeals more to men. But I think it also, I mean, I've gotten incredible reviews, and probably for my book, very, very fortunate. Won some awards for my book, and it's the vast majority of reviewers are women. The folks who run the contests are women. So I mean, it sort of is what it is.
I would fall into the trap of instead of Pete, I would have Petra. I have just along those lines.
I don't see. I'm a little wary of getting into writing. So this book, my book is written in first person. I'd be very nervous about trying to write.
In
first
difficult,
person,
man.
Because I'm not. I mean, it's like I'm not. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I said I'm not a woman, right? I'd find that I think that's a challenge that I'm not up for. I'm not up to it. I think I can do it.
You could, well, when you write, in that case, when you write dress and drag. Actually what I was thinking was for the next book, I was
listening to whatever RuPaul, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the next book, to appeal a different audience or bigger, broader audience, you may well call it the night stander, the one night stander. But to make the book appeal to men, young men, or even to men, you have a commercial, and the guy's on the beach reading a book, and the women walk by him thinking he's really interesting because he's reading. That's because
go straight to the base instincts.
Yes, sex sells. So the women walking by and they're all checking out the guy who's reading. You have like these 5 or 6 guys on the beach. They're like lotioning up, and they got these pecs all over, and they're lotioning up. And the women just don't even look at them. They just see the one guy reading your book, and they go like, "All right, that guy, that
nerd
guy
with the book."
Yeah, there's a whole Bill Hicks thing about being in the Waffle House and the waitress seeing him reading. She says, "What you reading for? Not what are you reading? What are you reading for?"
I'm trying to pick up chicks.
Here's a little marketing in case for people out there, in case you're not going to buy the book and you're just going to buy the audiobook or whatever. Go to your library and ask them to order the book. Yeah, everybody, and this is a thing we're trying to push on for all our authors is people in our audience. Go to your library and ask them to order the book. You're helping the author in a big time way. Then not only the more people get exposed to his work, but he gets one more book sold. So and wherever you
or 2 or 3, because the library may buy 2 books or 3 books.
Yeah, so there you
absolutely.
go.
And then you can go in and steal one, and then they'll have to replace it, and then he sells 4 books, and you will have gotten the book for free.
It's a whole untapped market. I had no idea.
Yes.
Steal the books that are, I got it.
Yeah, there you go.
We're here
tuna mayonnaise. It's all the same thing.
We are here to sell books. Go ahead.
Last question, and then we'll let you go. This whole idea of staring the hornet's nest around the Second Amendment issue. Have you faced any brother-in-laws or whatever, who just think of this. Oh, what are you're trying to force your political views on me? Any of that kind of feedback, and if so, everything sounds like a complicated two-part question. If so, if you've gotten any feedback, does that make you kind of less inclined to bring up political issues in the next book?
So I haven't. I mean, and I've got sort of two quick answers to it. The first one is I'm an old enough guy that I've done enough stuff in my career that I'm comfortable with my beliefs, right? And I know I'm not I'm a middle of the road thinker, politically. I have my own personal beliefs, but I also know what political realities are. So I've kind of steered down the middle with this book. But as an example, I had the one reviewer I became friends with, she really liked my book, and she said, I'm going to forward this to a guy who writes reviews for this pretty big website. And his name is Colonel Steve. He's a retired Army tank commander, and I was like, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was really nervous, and Colonel Steve has become one of my biggest advocates for the way that I treated the Second Amendment issues. And he named my book one of his top 3 surprise books of 2025. He's in Orlando, Florida. I went to go to a book signing. He came and he offered to buy me lunch. And I was really nervous that I was going to, with veterans and with folks who are in the military, that they were going to have some kind of issues with my position on guns. And he and I, sat in a Panera Bread in Orlando and had lunch, and we talked about guns and remarkably similar thoughts about guns. That this guy actually, what his thoughts on guns and mine on guns pretty similar. So
maybe I'm just presenting it wrong, because I think I'm in agreement with you on the issues that you have with missiles and stuff. Like, where do you draw the line? The line is not clearly drawn, but I think we can most of the time agree you don't want your neighbor having a nuclear weapon or whatever, a stealth fighter, any of these kinds. But I think, when I present it, I get so much. Why are you trying to steal our guns? How many times do we have to go over that? So congratulations on being able to make your point without drawing a lot of hate, because I will draw a lot of hate.
Well, Matt, most people, that's their default position with you anyway. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, you could say, I want to give everybody free money. And they go like, whose money are you giving away? Why are you giving away money?
What do you think? It's some free lunch?
You think it grows on trees? You think it grows on tree? Where are you getting this money from you giving away? So they're going to hate you for something.
I stole it from Maduro. Okay.
Well, it's full of money.
The book, The Bystander, is available by johndavid.com. Now, by is B-Y, not Ron is not here, or it would be B-I. By johndavid.com. I did not, at .substack.com. The link's in the description. It's easy to click to. I was not aware you could build a whole website on Substack.
It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, cool. It's great. Yeah, so my website's byjohndavid.com, and my book's available. I'll make a quick pitch here. You can order it in your local bookstore if you want. It's not going to be on the shelf at your local Barnes & Noble, but you can order it at your local bookstore. And if you really want to support a local bookshop, you can go to bookshop.org, and they ask you to name a local bookshop when you buy a book, and a portion of the sales will go directly to your local bookstore.
Excellent.
So if you really want to support local bookstores, I'm a big proponent of bookshop.org.
And also leave a review. Once you do that, go on wherever you got bought and leave a review. An honest review.
If your review sucks, so do you.
That's right.
If your review sucks, so do you. Don't do it.
That's right. Friendly review.
It will be a great review because there, again, story-wise, the storyline-wise, it's original, and it's a compelling, and it's got lots of relevant ideas in there that are worth discussing and compels conversation. So you're going to write a good review anyway. Go get the book. That's John David.
The problem is most people, when they enjoy something, don't take the time to say, I enjoyed that. It's the people who, for some reason, are like, he used big words. On page 7, I had to use my dictionary 4 times. What the fuck?
Wow.
You know, I had
I didn't before that's coming.
A friend of mine wrote a book, and he gave me a copy, and he says, you're going to have, as a joke, he says to me, you're going to have problems with page 57. There's a few big words on there. So,
people give away stuff. They're not getting open. It's like when you give somebody a CD. That's a drink coaster. I hate giving stuff away just for that. Not that it's always about the money. It's just I know if I give it to you, you're going to devalue it and then never crack the book. So
anyway, here it is. He wrote this. This is what he wrote. What? Glenn, there's a lot of big words in this. Hope you can read it. That's what he wrote.
I had a former one of my former boss of mine came to my book signing event. And I just wrote inside, no editing, don't edit. Just read, don't edit. Guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun.
If it didn't suck too much when the next book comes out in May, please come back and talk to us some more.
You know what? It didn't suck. It didn't suck just like the right amount. So it's perfect.
Thanks for being here. And we will continue to support you. People go out and get the Bystander. Buy John David.
Thanks, guys.
Have
a great day.
Bye for now.
All right. See you guys.
Good guy. And it's good conversation. And I can't, I don't say that. I don't blow smoke up the guest ass. This is a really interesting premise for a book, ideas in there, and I love the fact that it gets conversation started about important issues, because this idea about journalism and fake news, what can we trust and all that stuff, people just want to assume that when a news organization or a news reporter gets something wrong, that it was on purpose. And on this, it's more of in this book, it's more of a, wait, this is what I reported. Am I sure of that I got it right? And questioning itself. And I think that's a healthy thing. But I think most of the people we want to assume the worst about people. Oh, they did this. They're just trying to manipulate us, right? And not going to be, we have to learn to be forgiving about when they get it wrong, if they come out and say it. Right. So that they won't be afraid to come out and say, hey, I got it wrong. Because what we're creating is a culture, if you happen to get it wrong, do a cover-up. And then we become the cover-up society. And nobody can admit to a mistake anymore. Like you can't admit to a mistake, whatever that mistake was.
To me, there's a difference. There's
you're covering up.
Philosophically, I'm trying. Just like I say, there's a difference between an excuse and an explanation. There's also a difference between a mistake and a fuck up. You can fix a mistake. You can't fix a fuck up. So, for example, if you're having sex with a girl, the condom breaks and she gets pregnant.
That never happened.
And you don't want the kid. It's a mistake. You can fix it. You can fix it. But if you don't find out she's pregnant, she has the kid, now it's a fuck up. You can't fix it. You got the kid. That's the difference between a mistake and a fuck up. You can fix a mistake. You can't fix a fuck up.
I was having these similar thoughts about our culture last night. We have come to a place where, and in American society, I'm not speaking for the whole world because I don't think the culture is the same, but finding somebody is attractive, it seems to be enough to risk having children or parenting children with them, right? Just because you find someone attractive doesn't mean it's worth the gamble of becoming a lifetime committed parent with those people. But we take that risk way too often. Like, I find you. Let's roll the dice here. Married for 50 years with kids, because I feel like I'm part of that gamble that didn't pay off.
I know when I was in high school, I did not want to date a girl unless I met her mother. I want to see how the mother fared after so many years. And so there was one girlfriend I had. Her mother was like, I don't know, she was like maybe 40 or something, but she was really hot. And the daughter was hot too. But some people start out hot and then they just grow into ugly, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
but the mother was like really hot, and so and they could see her growing up to be like a mother. So that was I want to. The problem that I didn't think about, I was thinking this was my thinking in high school. We'd have a child, it would have her looks and my brains, and therefore it would be like the perfect child. But it never occurred to me that it could be born with my looks and her brains. And the kid would be working in the sideshow in a carnival. He'd be paying 50 cents a ticket to see my kid on the freak show because they had my looks and her brain. So, I mean, at least he'd be making a living.
What you're saying, I mean, the bottom line point that you're trying to make here is there's been no inflation in the freak show business. Freak show industry.
Well, this was in the 70s, so yeah. So
it seemed like an inflation immune industry. Maybe it's something. If you got a freak at home, whatever.
But they'd be steady living. Well, actually, now they would be unemployed. Yeah. Because they could make a comeback on OnlyFans.
You know, back to that JT Habersat interview. Before JT came on, you were trying to convince me that at one point my grandmother was a hottie, and like not that you ever knew my. Yeah, well, because she had 3 husbands and money, and you had a theory that the guy was still like she was still young enough, and the guy said he wanted to add the last husband, my father's father, was thinking that he killed the other 2 guys because he still wanted a shot at that hottie. And I was like, my grandmother, if you would have seen my grandmother, there was no way in any period, not even when she was in her prime.
Okay, now, but see now, and we know this for a fact. Hot is regional. You know, you've heard the expression like a Michigan 10 is like California 4 or something like that, whatever it is. You know, you could have like an Indiana 6, an Indiana 12 would be like a Hollywood 2. You know what I'm saying? So there's regional hotness. So we don't know what the options were. Is what I'm saying.
But all I know is because by the time I met my grandmother, before I was old enough to think about, she was already in her 80s, well into her 80s. And there's no way I can even imagine that. And I've seen pictures of her when she was younger too. No. I love you, Grandma. Thanks for the money. Because I mentioned to you, she used to slip me like a 20. Like this is 1964.
Back when all the other grandmothers were slipping a 1 or a 5.
Yeah, my grandmother would treat you like you were in a witness, or like she was bribing a juror or something. Like every time I would go to see, come here, give me a kiss, and she was like, "Don't tell your father." And she'd slip me a 20. Like in 1964, a 20 for a 5-year-old kid in 1964 was like $200 now or something. Here, go buy yourself a new car. Don't tell your father.
Good day, sunshine.
Wow. Cover Up Society. Wow, you're joining us late. We're all covered up. We covered that up.
Yeah.
Cover up.
Yeah, like my cat does with the litter box.
Yeah. You know, yesterday or the other day, I alluded a little bit to oral sex. I want to have that discussion. Have you ever had oral sex? And when I say oral sex, YouTube, I'm not saying ORAL. I'm saying AURAL. Oral sex, where you don't touch.
I think I called that my 20s.
Well,
no, I've been in yes. Because again, I did study metaphysics for like 4.5 years. Wow. So I was in that was yoga.
This woman did it to me. She did it to me. And I was at the Playboy Legends now. It was in Hamburg, New Jersey, the old Playboy Hotel. And they had turned it into a 4 Seasons and then the Legends, whatever. And I'm sitting at the piano bench, and this girl who was part of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, she was from, I don't know, one of them Scandinavian countries, big, tall, blonde girl. And she came up and started doing the oral sex thing on me while I was playing piano. And I was thinking about last night how intense That was. And it's something you don't have to be naked for. You could actually be fully clothed. You could be stark naked or anywhere in between. But just doing this kind of, and you would think, because it sounds kumbaya, law of attraction, or just when I get into this energy field. But I'm telling you, this was one of the more intense experiences I ever had. As far no touching at all. I mean, if there's an accident, doing this thing and a finger actually just touches me for a second by accident, but it's meant to be no touching. It's supposed to in your aura around your energy field. And for me, and I could never say to my wife, "You want to try this?" Like, no, what are you? This is freaky. This is just stupid. But it was intense. It was fucking amazing. And I was thinking about it last night, how amazing it was. And you could do it in public. I was on the piano bench in the lobby of a hotel, and she was doing it. People around, and I don't know, people went, what are those freaks doing over there? But it was an amazing experience. For some reason, I didn't pursue it. Like, wow, that was cool. Let's do that again. Usually if you have an intense experience like that, you're gonna say, hello, you coming over for some oral tonight? Let's do some oral. Or AURAL. Sorry. Anyway, so this discussion for another day. We're out of time.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts? You just gotta what makes us laugh? No.
Oh, what's today? Wednesday? Yes, another one came out last night. I haven't listened to it yet. I don't know which one it is.
You don't have guests on that. It's just you and him talking
No,
about
we have.
shit?
We've had guests. We've had guests. 1, 2, 3.
When I say
4.
him, I say Alan Katz.
Alan Katz. Yeah, we've had 4 guests. Now, but it is like we've had one person twice, and I'll probably have her again because she's a comedian, but she's also a psychologist. And so
it's a dangerous.
Oh, it's hilarious. I mean, like we've done 2 episodes with her. We want to do another one because we did like one episode we listened to laughs, the kind of laughs that people have, and we didn't get through all of the laughs. We broke down like maybe 12 laughs or something, and I have like 24 or something. I can't remember what the number is. Whatever the number of laughs I have, sample of laughs, I think we went through half of them. We still have the other half to go through. But what the laugh says about the person, and also how it comes across to the comedian who's listening to it or the people around it.
I can't scroll for some reason. My scrollness has gotten scrollless. I'm scrollness. So yeah, the psychiatrist or psychologist,
right?
If they're using the comedy, it's one thing, but you don't want somebody who's just looking at you like, this is
no, it's separate. Yeah, the people, her patients don't know that she's a comedian, so it's not like there's like a wall, an iron curtain.
So she never says like, by the way, while you're laying there on the couch, pull my finger.
No. What she usually says is things like, actually, I'm just joking. She does not say that. She doesn't say things like, that's very interesting. You mind if I use that in my show? No.
All right, Rachel Wellner tonight on Mind Dog TV, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Rachel Wellner will talk about raising kids or something. Like, I don't know. I'm not the right guy.
And I'm going to, and tonight is trivia night for my wife and I. You can catch my wife and I playing trivia at Stables Inn in Westminster.
How trivial.
The Stables in Westminster.
How trivial! How totally trivial! Now John Fugelsang is coming on Friday. I gotta get reading that book today. His book, Separation of Church and Hate. I gotta get on that. I gotta read the whole book tonight. But I have a podcast tonight. I got things going on, but I gotta get that. I just want to ask, and I'm not going to comment on it, but have you ever gotten past the 20 minutes of The Godfather?
Yeah, I finished The Godfather. What I haven't done is I haven't watched The Goodfellas yet.
Oh, well, I thought you couldn't get past the wedding scene.
It was hard. It was hard. I think it took 2 days to get past that fucking wedding scene. But once I got past that, I watched the rest of it, and I have not watched Goodfellas yet. And
Well, I'm just thinking about the Godfather thing because I'm going to bring this up in the intro to John Fugelsang on on Friday, because I feel the way you feel about the Godfather, like everybody says it's a great movie and you just don't get it. That's how I feel about this book. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called The Holy Bible. I don't get it. I mean, I know they call it a good book, and it feels like the beginning, the wedding, they draw it out way too, the whole Genesis thing. I just want to get from, the point where, and in the beginning, and then he rose on the third day. I want to condense.
You just want to get to the fucking. I just want to get to the beginning. All the fuck. No, I don't even care who's the parents. I just want to know who. Just the fucking.
No, that just makes me jealous that other people are doing it and I can't.
How come Solomon has 700 wives, and how do they keep them all happy? Well, not wives, 700 concubines.
I got meetings to get to. There's a StreamYard meeting. You want to be on the StreamYard meeting? No,
what time is it?
It's at noon today. They say noon to 12:30. Probably not going to be that long. I don't know. Redistributing content. Oh, I don't know what I want to tell them. Hook up a phone system for this thing. That would make this fucking app happen. If I don't have to use Loopback to make phone calls or take phone calls, that's what I want to tell them. But that's what I'm going to be doing right after this. And then I'll be reading John's book in preparation for Friday. That's all. All right. Have a great day.
You're not going to read my forward? I'm going to send you my forward. You're not going to read that? Damn it, man.
I'll read that. I'll read that. You're going to send it today?
Matter of fact, I'll send it as soon as the show's over.
Yeah, that'll be a quick read. That's not like I got to read.
It's only like 5 pages long. No, I'm just teasing. I feel like it's 700. It's 783 words.
Oh,
it was
791.
It was 791.
Yeah. All right. Let's be done. How about that? Right. Tell people buy The Bystander. Sounds like a great book. And call up your people at Netflix and tell them to make the movie. And in the meantime, don't forget to turn on your radio. Have a great day and bye for now.
listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.